Okay, guys, let's keep moving then. So to get a picture around the room for everybody's sake, to see where we're all at. Just to get a theme for this next 10 years, who's got, and we're obviously going to talk the financial aspect of this as a focus, because let's assume the financial aspect will enable a lot of the other aspects, yeah? Not as the only thing, but it's going to enable a lot of other stuff. But who's got the goal to be either retired or financially independent so you don't have to go to work? Who's planning on still being in practice and happy to still be in practice in a single practice in 10 years? Is that still? Yes. Yeah? All right. So what does financial independence mean to you guys? You're saying you want to be financially independent. Is that the term we used or not? Yeah. What does that mean? Because it means different things to different people. So that might be a good thing. If you've written, I want to be financially independent, take that time now and just figure out what does it mean to you specifically. Write a number on it. Income. If you want to have assets, how much asset do you need or want to have there? There's a couple of you got things like, I want to be the kids to be independent, I want to have, freedom to travel and so on. What does that mean? In today's money, how much does that mean in terms of income? Because one of the guests we'll have here soon is going to give you some specific equations and tools to make that happen, figure out what that really means for you, how to attain that. Who's got the goal of selling a clinic or having multiple clinics? Who's got that in there? Okay, all right. Who's selling in the next 10 years? All right. Who's replicating in the next 10 years? Cool. And who's undecided? All right. So the three models we're going to look at in terms of building wealth here are, and by the way, everything we talk about long term, I'm going to keep bringing it back to what we need to do now, the plans we're making now. The three models are how to build your clinic up, sell it off, and buy another one. Or sell it off and retire or travel the world or whatever. Right, so how to build your clinic as an asset and sell it on. And that could be 15 years, it could be 20 years, it could be 2 years. All right? We're going to use 10 as a number as a starting point. That's one model. And potentially in that time, the idea is, buy a clinic, build it up, sell it off to another practitioner, make your money, reinvest over here, build another clinic, build it up, sell it off. That's not a bad strategy to run with, if it's what you choose. Particularly if there's real estate involved, because you can own all the real estate. The second one is to have a multi-clinic model, and whether that's you own a multiple number of clinics, all under management, or franchising or licensing. So in other words, and the model specifically we'll look at here is how do I own more than one clinic, and how do I set that up? In terms of the management structure, in terms of the who owns the property, who has equity in it, and so on. And what's the exit plan there? Because that obviously if they all go well, you've obviously got a bigger exit strategy there. In other words, when you go to sell, you've got a bigger asset. And the third model we look at is selling your knowledge or selling your system or your IP, intellectual property, which potentially has got the biggest leverage in it, depending on which way you look at it. And that's going to be the focus more of tomorrow. Today is more about buying and selling a practice or exiting a practice. So, do we agree that, and please, if you don't, speak up, do we agree that building your practice for sale, in other words, building a practice with the thought that one day I'm going to sell this, is prudent, rather than just working it on your own? Like, if you've got something to sell, whether you sell it or not, it's either, a saleable practice, what does it look like? So if you've got a practice that, you can sell for, it's returning X amount of profit and it's under management, you can sell it to someone else who's not a practitioner. And that way, if you don't have to sell it, but it's worth something to another practitioner, it's got an inherent value. And if you choose to step in and do some work in there as a practitioner, that's a choice, not a necessity. Is that fair call? Is it all right? Let's go through the exercise, right? So you can fill this in as we go if you like in the workbook. It's on page 5, 4? Page 5. So the disclaimer on page 4, I want everyone to read, is that this is opinion only. I'm not an accountant. The guy that's coming to speak soon, Gary, is an accountant, but still this is opinion only. It's not personalised advice and it's not financial advice. It's a illustration purposes, all right? So in the current scenario, fill this in as we go. What could you sell your business for? Even what could you sell it now for? Never mind the next 3 years, 5 years. What could you sell it now for, do you think? Guess. What do you reckon it's worth? Okay, well that's a fair answer. There's no idea. All right. Have a stab in the dark, because we'll go back to this. It's worth just you don't have to share it, but what do you reckon your practice is worth now? Now, who could buy it? Who could buy it? Do they need to be a practitioner? And another good question is there, why would they buy it? Because the next question is, well, how will they finance it? So I wanted to buy your practice, how would they finance it? If I was going to the bank, would the bank loan against your business as it stands? You don't know the answer to that, but it's one worth asking. Unless I've got money sitting there ready to buy a practice and I'm hot to trot, chances are, because this is what happens often, is when you go to sell your practice, you think it's X amount. The buyer agrees, said, yep, let's do that, we've got a price agreed, and they come back and go, I can't get finance. That's very common. Why? Because the bank understands that the business, as you see it, isn't much of a business, it's actually just a practice. They're looking at the figures, yeah. This is a question, this is something you should be able to answer here, roughly. How much, if I took over your practice tomorrow, or so you sold your practice tomorrow, how much would the person be making? And then the question there is, and this is what we'll explore, is that, what can you do now? Can you retire on that? Do you have to go start work somewhere else? What's the answer to that for everybody? I'm interested. If you sold tomorrow from what you're assuming here, what's your plans? What does that leave you? Okay, so look, 4 stages of a business owner. Stage 1 is, what do you reckon? For a practice owner, let's say. What's a stage 1? Sole practitioner, right? Stage 2, so senior practitioner is the second stage where you've got some leverage. The third level, you put 1 or 2 senior practitioners in, you step back, and what do you become? Business owner. And what's your role really in the manager, right? You kind of manage the whole thing. You may have people under you doing some of the day-to-day, but you become effectively the manager. And you don't need to be in there. The fourth level is when you start selling off practices and you grow 2 or 3, or you've got this one going so well, you've got 6 senior practitioners working, and you put a general manager in. What do you become then? Yeah, the entrepreneur. So you become the wellness entrepreneur. So really important you check in. What role are you currently playing? Which of those are you currently playing? Your question is probably first up, do you want to change that? And if so, what top 2 to 3 things do you need to do to shift that? What are the sort of the key steps or the things you need to change? Let's keep going. Key reasons to sell. So over the next page, page 7. Potentially, and this is again, feel free to change your plans, adapt to whatever, but financially you may just want the money for security or investment or lifestyle, or you may want to diversify into other businesses. That could be your motivator. Consider that when you see a warning sign coming, is potentially a good time to sell. But if you can see a warning sign before others, it's a good time to get out. Like for example, if you were smart 5 years ago, if you owned a video shop, you would have sold it. Right? But now the ones that people have still got them, they can't sell them. They're stuck, right? Because it's kind of an obsolete medium. So you may see things coming up, like competitors or corporate players coming into the game. Who knows? But just be aware of that. Circumstances can change. It's worthwhile keeping your finger on the pulse because you want to sell at that point. You may get an offer you can't refuse, or you may have personal reasons. So consider that everything you think is going to happen in the next 10 years, you don't know really what's ahead. None of us do. And it could be good, bad, or indifferent, but a change of lifestyle means, you know what, I want to change this and get out and do something new. Or I need to get out for whatever reason, okay? And the better prepared you are for that, the better exit you're going to have. All right, so the foundations for selling, be strategic. Mindset is be strategic rather than opportunistic. So don't sit and wait for the golden goose to come and lay its egg on your doorstep. Plan rather than react. What do you want from the sale? What do you want to achieve out of it? Do you want to have a piece of the ownership? Do you, a wish list of exactly what you'd like in terms of the dollars and in terms of the transaction is a good thing to set up now. In other words, I want to exit for this amount. I want to have the place saleable to someone who's not a practitioner. I need X amount of staff on board for that. If you know what all those markers are, you can start planning for it. Right? What sort of turnover do you need to have at the time you need to sell? What's the profit need to be? And what are you going to do once you leave? In other words, do you need to get other work? Do you need to find other income? And do you want to stay involved as a practitioner? Because often, an easy thing to do, sometimes actually you can sell the practice, stay there as a consultant or as a practitioner. Understand tax implications and the financial implications, understand external market conditions, and understand what's going on in the business, what are the areas that need to be optimised now. So let's list out, let's take a minute now and, in the event you wanted to sell, what would be an ideal set of conditions for you to sell? Let's go into some specifics around how to value your practice and how to make this a reality, right? So, flicking over on page 8, we see the valuation factors, the things that come into it. Common myths to consider is the revenue theory is I earn X amount in revenue, therefore my business should be worth whatever as a result of that. Right? Which isn't, if there's a chiropractic thing of 40%, fine, but in every other business it's about profit, not so much revenue. Right? Another common myth is the owner picks a price. I reckon it's worth this amount and I'll just wait for someone to come along who's silly enough to buy it. Labour theory, what do you reckon that is? I've worked hard for 10 years at this, it's got to be worth something. But here's the news for everybody. It's worth, in technical terms, it's worth jack shit. All right, it's worth very little. What is worth something is how many of the people I've signed up in the last 10 years are still clients, how many of them are doing direct debit memberships with me, how many are still involved with the clinic. That's worth something, particularly if they're on recurring income. So the interesting thing then is that the two variables are how much profit you're making and what's the multiple of profit you can sell for. In health, generally we're finding, the advice I've had is 3 times profit's normal, right? Or, a good outcome. In other words, if I turn over, let's say 500,000 and I make 100k profit, what's my practice worth? 300,000. So the accountants will help us reduce tax by suppressing profit. So why do you want to suppress profit when you're with the accountant? So you don't have to pay tax, right? But then you go to sell and you say, look, I've managed to get away with paying hardly any tax all these years. Isn't it great? And the owner says, yeah, but where's the profit?